My husband and I have a 5-year-old daughter, and I'm 6 months pregnant with a boy. We appreciate that our parenting style is very different from our parents. We decided to promote certain autonomous behaviors from a young age. Due to my own experience with an eating disorder caused by my upbringing, we prioritize autonomy in food for our daughter and plan to do the same for our son. To foster this, we set up a tiny semi-functional kitchen for our kids. It includes a small functional fridge, and my husband even rigged the sink with a weak pump. Our daughter keeps snacks in the fridge in her tiny pantry. The snacks range from bananas to individual chocolates. She has the freedom to take a portion of whatever she wants. When she wants to cook or make a fruit salad or muesli, etc., she can do so. Of course, she doesn't have access to dangerous items, but she helps us cook when she wants to. This method has resulted in our daughter not going crazy at the prospect of candy or chips because she can decide when to have them. She also knows that once she eats her snack for the week, that's it. So she's learned to pace herself. Now to the actual story. My mother-in-law's in town for a while. And we let her stay with us. I actually like her, but it's been a struggle at times because she has very set ways. She is not a fan of the tiny kitchen. She thinks we're going to make our daughter obese by allowing her to have snacks when she wants. On the first night, she took away the muesli bar my daughter was eating because dinner was at 6 p.m. It was around 4 p.m. When we asked her to please give it back and not to interfere, she relented. And that was that. Or so I thought. Last night, our babysitter got sick, and we asked mother-in-law to watch our daughter. She agreed since it was just from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., and our daughter goes to bed at 7:30 p.m. We went out for dinner, and when we returned, we found our daughter awake and crying. I went to soothe her, and my husband went to talk to his mother. It turns out that mother-in-law had made baked fish and boiled potatoes for dinner. My daughter told her she doesn't like fish because the smell makes her queasy. Mother-in-law insisted that she had to eat everything on her plate or she wouldn't be allowed to get up. Our daughter ate the potatoes and tried to eat the fish but gagged. Mother-in-law got furious, took the plate away, and sent her to bed early. Our daughter got hungry and went to her kitchen to make some banana oats. Mother-in-law heard her, took the food away, threw it out, and brought out the rest of the fish, insisting she finish her dinner if she was hungry. Our daughter started crying and, while trying to eat, threw up at the table. Mother-in-law changed her and cleaned up, and that's when we came home. I was livid. I immediately told mother-in-law that her behavior was unacceptable and that she overstepped our boundaries. I made it clear that she would not be welcome to stay with us again if she couldn't respect our parenting choices. To make matters worse, I discovered the next morning that mother-in-law had unplugged our daughter's fridge and put it outside. It rained heavily overnight, and the fridge was completely ruined. When I confronted mother-in-law, she brushed it off, saying it was for our daughter's own good, that she didn't need a fridge in her room. I decided to send her the receipt for the fridge to underline how serious we are about this. Mother-in-law thinks I'm overreacting and that I'm being disrespectful to her as the grandmother. My husband is on my side, but he feels caught in the middle. So am I the idiot for refusing to let my mother-in-law come over again and sending her a receipt for our daughter's fridge? Edit. Mother-in-law ordered the fish through a grocery delivery service. Not the idiot. My husband is on my side, but he feels caught in the middle. If he's on your side, then he's not in the middle. If he's caught in the middle, then he's not on your side. Mother-in-law's treatment of your daughter was abusive. Simply tell mother-in-law that she's no longer welcome to your home until she pays for the fridge and apologizes to you and your daughter for her inappropriate behavior, and that she won't be allowed any unsupervised time with your daughter or the new baby for the foreseeable future. Mother-in-law ordered the fish through a grocery delivery service, so she could order pretty much anything she wanted to feed a 5-year-old, but she chose to go with fish? That reads like mother-in-law waited for her chance to trump your decision unnoticed. See? I made daughter eat the old-fashioned way, and she got over her silly pickiness. Maybe I'm right after all, and your new-age coddle parenting isn't so great after all. I broke your property and broke my granddaughter's trust, but it's not a big deal to me. Jesus Christ, your mother-in-law is a horrible person that should have zero contact with your child. What she did was abusive and vile. I would never allow her around my child again, period. Toxic people do not change. Period. End of story. I, 28 female, have a fraternal twin sister who's dating my fiance's 34 male, younger brother, 29. My fiance and I are getting married in the fall. My sister has commented on how awful my new last name will be. She also said similar things throughout her relationship. She told me that she could never marry her boyfriend because she just can't have his last name. I told her that she doesn't have to take his last name. Plenty of women keep their maiden name when they get married for various reasons. She disagrees and says that she doesn't want to keep our maiden name. She wants to have a traditional marriage where she takes her husband's last name. Last weekend, she went with me to buy clothes for my honeymoon. While we were out, I asked her what if her boyfriend proposed to her. They've been dating for 3 years now, and my fiance told me that his brother was looking at engagement rings. I didn't tell her this, but simply brought it up in regular conversation since we were shopping for my honeymoon outfits, and she kept saying, "I can't wait to try on wedding dresses one day," and the like. She told me she would say, "Only if you change your last name." I told her that it was selfish of her to give an ultimatum like that to someone who loved her and wanted to marry her. She rolled her eyes at me, so I said, "Seriously, would you really turn him down because of his last name?" And she firmly said, "Yes, I just can't have that name." So I asked why she was even with him, knowing it wouldn't lead to marriage, and she replied, "I don't know." I just dropped it. Yesterday, her boyfriend came over to hang out with my fiance and pulled up photos of rings to ask my opinion on which one my sister would like. I told him the truth. She won't marry him, that she'll say no if he asks because of his last name. He asked me if she told me this, and I told him yes. He broke up with her today. He didn't tell her why, but my sister knew it was because of me. Now my aunt and uncle who raised us are upset with me and said that everyone would be uncomfortable at my wedding. But wouldn't it have still been if he had asked and she said no? Should I have just let it play out? Oof, not the idiot. It's not about last name. It's about disrespect. She does not accept him as a person, but as a cartoon character, judging him by his last name? I don't know, it could also be genuine childish idiotism, which isn't any better. I hate such statements behind a person's back. He deserves to know. You saved some major embarrassment for your future brother-in-law. I seriously can't imagine being willing to throw away an entire person over a darn name. Like, sure, some last names are goofy, and it would kind of suck to be stuck with one, but that just seems so inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. I would have done the same thing as him and dumped her because it means two things. One, you know the relationship has an expiration date, and two, you know how shallow she is. I'm going to go with everyone's the idiot here. Your sister's being pretty petty about this. On the other hand, it was absolutely not your place to flat out tell him not to propose to her and then repeat something your sister had told you. Whether this was petty or not, and she was leading him on or not, she said that to you in confidence, and you just popped out with it the second he started showing you a ring. You made a decisive move to insert yourself into their relationship, resulting in the relationship ending. My wife, female 25, and I, male 29, have been married for a year but together for 4. Ever since I met her, she has a weird habit surrounding food. I noticed it on our very first date. Instead of eating equally everything on her plate, she eats the sides first, then the main, and then drinks her drink. I eventually asked her why she does this, and she said she doesn't know, but she can't stomach eating a bite here or a bite there of different things. She doesn't like when different things get in her stomach at the same time. Because of this, she often gets full before she even eats half of the main, and then she gets hungry later on or upset because she couldn't taste the main food. Sometimes she wants to drink with everyone else, but she simply can't let herself. So now every time we make dinner, I serve her a lot less than what I think she'll eat. That way she eats all the sides, then gets to the main, and actually can eat it, try it, and enjoy a drink. If she's still hungry, she has no problem doing the same thing twice. It's just a quirk she has. It doesn't bother me. This past weekend, we hosted dinner for her sister's husband, and a mutual couple friend. I saw her sister eyeballing her plate as I gave it to her, but I assumed she also knew the food thing and maybe that's why. Well, after dinner, of which my wife ate her first plate of food, her drink, and then a bit more of a second, her sister approached me as I was doing dishes. She asked me why I was limiting my wife's food. I kind of laughed because I was surprised by this and said I'm not, and explained what I said up there. Her sister told me that was unacceptable and that my wife was allowed to eat how and what she wanted. I explained I absolutely agreed. This is just something really small that helps her. But her sister was annoyed and even took it as far as telling the other couple. I cleared it up with that couple who said they didn't care, nor did they believe I was starving my own wife. Am I the idiot for doing this? Not the idiot, because you have discussed it with your wife and it's something she prefers. It's none of her sister's business. This is a tried and true system that works for the two of you. I respect your sister-in-law for trying to look after her sister, but she is the idiot for approaching you, and more so for involving your other guest. She should be checking in with her own sister, who could have cleared it up with no drama. To be honest, this sounds like a very simple, sweet gesture to me. Your wife obviously has the option to get more if she chooses, but having less means she gets to try everything. I think this is perfect for to be loved is to be seen. I've noticed recently there's so much push toward making sure we don't control our SO or spouse. We're losing little gestures like this because people say it's controlling, like her sister. If your wife appreciates it, that's all that matters. I personally am a sucker for these little gestures that show love and knowledge of your spouse. My stepson, Ben, 20, is living with us right now during summer break from college. About a month ago, he asked if his college girlfriend, Liv, could stay with us for the rest of the summer because she was going through a rough time at home. I wasn't fully on board with the idea because we already have our 2 other kids, tweens, in the house, and having 4 adults and 2 kids in our space is a lot. My wife has a soft spot for Ben and struggles to say no to him, so my concerns were dismissed. Now Liv is living with us until they go back to school. A few issues have come up since Liv came, pretty much all of which have to do with me. First, one of the big reasons Liv wanted to change her living situation is because her parents are alcoholics. Now, I don't drink every day, but I do have alcohol in the house, and I like to imbibe with the meals sometimes, or have a few cocktails on the weekend. This is triggering for Liv to see a parent drinking with kids around. Second, Liv is vegan. We eat a lot of meat in our house. Pretty much every meal has meat involved. I also hunt, so we eat meat that I've harvested, and I have a few mounts on the wall. This makes Liv especially uncomfortable. Ben and Liv sat down with my wife and me this past weekend and offered some suggestions to help make Liv's time here easier. Their first suggestion was that if I wanted to drink, I should do it in private and not around the kids. I tried to interject when they suggested this, but they asked me to please let them finish before saying anything. Their next suggestion was to allow Liv to cook vegan meals for us so that we didn't eat so much meat all the time. She offered to do grocery shopping and meal planning to provide vegan meals for us instead of our usual meals. Finally, they asked if I could remove the mounts from the walls of the house until they go back to school in 6 weeks. When they finished, I asked if it was okay for me to talk now, and they said yes. I told them that my answer to all of their suggestions is no. I told them that I appreciated Liv's offer to cook for us, and she's free to cook a few vegan meals for us during the week if she wants, but we will not completely change our diets for one person. But as far as their other suggestions, not happening. My wife spoke up and said that maybe it wouldn't hurt us to try their suggestions for a little bit and see how things go. She said it's only 6 weeks, and that changing our lifestyles a little bit for a short period wouldn't kill us. I told all 3 of them that if they want to change the way we live, they're free to do so, but they're not going to force me to change the way I live in my own home for a temporary guest. I told them that if that meant I cook separate meals for myself, then so be it, but the mounts stay. And if I want a beer or a glass of wine, I will have one. All 3 of them think I'm being unreasonable and that they aren't asking too much of me for a short period of time. Not the idiot. This is a great lesson to them. You cannot always control the world around you, and you certainly can't control other people. She's lucky to be a guest, and guests should never make this kind of ask that she's making. It is not polite or respectful. If your lifestyle is so hard for her, then your home is not the safe place she needs it to be, and she should make other arrangements. OMG, those 6 weeks won't kill Liv either. It's not up to you to change your diet and lifestyle. It's up to her to adapt to the home in which she's graciously welcomed, rent-free. My wife has a soft spot for Ben and struggles to say no to him, so my concerns were dismissed. It looks like your opinion doesn't count in this house, which is why they're making such big demands and expecting you to say yes. Dude, I feel for you. This sounds like a nightmare. Come into your home and do that? The entitlement. Context. Hello. My wife, 30, and I, 31 male, decided that we might try to start a family of our own after landing stable jobs and buying our first house together. During this, I asked my wife if she could get her license. She never bothered as she lived in Boston before meeting and marrying me, as I couldn't ferry our family everywhere and try to get to work. So I got my wife an old beater and gave her some driving lessons along with a driving instructor, and she passed. She was happy with driving the car I got her, but I thought I should treat her. Up until now, I drove a 2011 Civic as a family. Neither of us has ever had a new car. So I put together some of my savings and bought her a brand new Mercedes A220, which she loved. Now, let's get to the main bit of this. About a month after getting the Mercedes, my car, the Civic, decided to give up the ghost. When I took it to the repair shop, they said it had various issues, including wiring issues, causing it to stop powering the engine randomly. My wife told me to take her car to work that day, so I took it. As I parked up in a lot, a coworker, let's call him X, came up to me from his car. He started asking about the car, the price, and where my Honda went. When I started telling him what happened in my car, he cut me off midway through and asked if he could test the car, at which point I told him it was my wife's and that I'd like to keep it pristine for her. He gave me a bit of a look and stormed into the office block. As I walked up, I got a few weird looks, and when I sat down next to my work buddy, he said that X told everyone in the office that I was an idiot and it changed into a snob after getting a new car. I don't understand what I did wrong, other than maybe not letting him drive the car. You'd be the idiot if you let him drive your wife's car without her permission, and I never give permission to someone who just wants to drive a cool car. He can go to a dealership like anyone else. Given the kind of car it is and the kind of person he appears to be, I'm not betting he'll drive with due care and attention. It's easy to misjudge a car like that, even when you are. Plus, he might not be insured and certainly wouldn't pay for any increase in insurance, even if he were. If someone came to me and said, OP's a meanie for not letting me drive his wife's car, I'd tell them, good for OP. You won't drive mine either. Consider giving HR a heads up on this. Definitely take this to HR. The invasive questions are cause enough, and there are additional issues with the odd request and the office gossip and griping. The coworker's already causing problems. Random people don't need to be test driving your car. However, getting a Mercedes while trying to save for a house and baby seems foolish.